or you can email them to our email address at marketingteam@iagcargo.com. We'll address them towards the end of the session. Now, without further ado, let me introduce our first speaker, IAG Cargo's Chief Commercial Officer, John Cheetham. Over to you, John.
Hello, and thank you, Nadia, and hello and welcome everyone to joining us today for Cargo Live. I was reflecting earlier that here we are sitting in September. Working very hard and continuing our efforts in the fight against COVID-19. We've just recently broken through another barrier in that fight as we've flown over 10 million vaccines, doses for the vaccine for COVID-19. That includes an incredibly important shipment of 4 million doses that we moved to Abuja in Nigeria in collaboration with our partners at UNICEF and the COVAX initiative. Incredibly important that we help to support get that out where it is needed. Whilst we were on that sort of subject, we also operated recently a relief flight. The recent earthquake that happened there, and delighted to be able to participate along with the teams in those sorts of initiatives. Outside of that, our network continues to expand. We're operating not only new routes, but also increased frequencies. So we've got new routes such as Madrid and to Male. And delighted to see that we've started operations back in Nairobi again, having had to move out of there for a short while. And we're also expanding significantly on the North Atlantic, much needed air freight capacity during these periods. If I look at our schedules to New York, JFK at the moment, we're operating 4 daily services from London, a daily service from Dublin, and a daily service from Madrid. And all much sought after capacity for our air freight customers. Outside of that, we're also expanding to new routes across the North Atlantic as well, the likes of Phoenix and Denver that we've just recently started. And all this expansion is quite exciting for IAG Cargo. We have ambitious plans of how we're looking to improve the business and invest in our business. So if you are looking for opportunities in the aviation sector, then please do keep an eye on our LinkedIn page to see for opportunities of how to join the team. I know there's a few people who may be logged in at the moment who are interested in aviation records. So one for the record watchers. In July, we managed to uplift 48.5 tons on an A350 service from Bangalore to London. India's always been an incredible market for us. Our footprint in India has always been strong, and we've got a very, very good and strong customer base down there. We're also increasing capacity in India itself as we increase frequencies in Mumbai. But certainly, if we can get more of those services with 48.5 tons on them, we'd be delighted with that. Finally, from me, we're going to be making an announcement tomorrow. I'm not going to give too much away today, but it's an exciting announcement where we're going to be offering our customers yet more opportunities to book their freight with us online. So we are always open 24/7. So please do keep an eye out for that. Anyway, enjoy the rest of the Cargo Live, and I'm going to hand you back to Nadia.
Thank you, John. If you've just joined us, we do have a Q&A session towards the end of the webinar, so please pop through any questions you have into the comments box and we'll address them then. Next up, we have Ken DeWitt-Hammer, Director Commercial at WorldACD. Over to you, Ken.
Thank you, Nadia. Thank you for IAG for inviting me to be part of this webinar today. My name is Ken DeWitt-Hammer, and I work as Commercial Director for WorldACD based in Amsterdam. And at WorldACD, as you may know, we provide data services to the air cargo industry. And we've built up our database and expertise over the last 20 years. And over time, this database and our sources have developed into what we see the most comprehensive source for air cargo data in the industry. And we're very pleased that IAG has also been part of this journey from the very beginning. With cargo being more important to the industry, the aviation industry, than ever before, we think it's crucial for parties to understand the true market dynamics and also understand their detailed position in the market. And at WorldACD, from working with different parties in the industry, we noticed that market data, market intelligence, also plays a crucial role, a more and more important role. I think it's fair to say that those parties that are able to compete on analytics really set themselves up to come out as leaders, irrespective of where you are in the supply chain, whether you're an airline, a forwarder, a GSA, an airport, a handling company, or a shipper. So with air cargo in the spotlight, I've been asked to share some insights and shed some light on the latest trends. And for this, I hope you can see my screen really well. So let me first start with a picture on capacity development, which for a large extent, I think you may be familiar with. We show here a chart, a line chart for the 3 years, 2019, 2020, and 21. And after the strong decrease in capacity when COVID hit us since April, capacity has been going up steadily. But if we look at the year 2021, the red line, and 2019, the latest year that we have available pre-COVID, so it's a good reference point. We also refer to that as the year on 2-year comparison. And we see that there is a pretty consistent gap in capacity of around minus 20%. So moving on to chargeable weights. In this chart, we have the same setup for the same 3 years. So it plots volume development measured in chargeable weight per month. And also here you see that after the gradual increases, or there has been a gradual increase, of course, since April 2020. And when looking at the comparison between 2019 and 2021, we see that the levels are very much in line. In fact, when we compare the year-to-date August 2021 with the same period in 2019, the difference is actually 0%, as shown in this slide. Now, if we zoom in on 2021 and look at the data per week, as we have sourced from our weekly data, with the latest data point here being week 35, which is the week ending of the 5th of September, we also see across the year a fairly stable picture, and especially in the last 15 weeks. So from a high-level volume perspective, one could conclude that, yeah, maybe 2001 is not very different from 2019. However, that's certainly not how individual parties in the industry experience this. High-level data simply do not tell the whole story. And you really need to get into the details. So I've prepared a few details in the limited time that I have available for this. So first picture shows the performance per origin region for chargeable weight. And again, we're taking a 2-year comparison, comparing the year up to July 2021, comparing that to the year 2019. And there are some striking differences, as you can see, per origin region. Europe, Africa, and the Middle East and South Asia have contracted in volumes, which is very different from the Americas and Asia Pacific, with a worldwide increase of 1%. The worldwide increase may be 1%, but if your key markets are in the regions with negative growth, you will be, or your impact is very different compared when your market would be elsewhere, for example, or your key markets would be elsewhere, for example, in the Americas or Asia Pacific. And that's also the case when we look at airline groups, which is shown in this picture. Again, a 2-year comparison. What we have done here, we have grouped the more than 80 airlines that we work with per home region. So what you see here is that the airlines collectively from Europe, the carriers from Europe, contracted with -5%, which is very different from the the groups that you see, such as in the Americas, Asia Pacific, Middle East and South Asia, and especially the carriers from Africa have been performing well with plus 26%. And that's despite the fact that outbound Africa business contracted, as we had seen in the previous slide. So different groups performed really differently. That's also the case for the top 100 forwarders in the world. If we look at the top 100 forwarders, we also see a very interesting perspective here. So what we've done here, we've plotted the top 100 forwarders that we have in our database. We have a lot more. We have close to 16,000 forwarders, but they simply did not fit into this chart. In this chart, we've plotted the growth year over year, volume-wise, for the top 100 global forwarders, and sorted them from low to high. So on the left-hand side, you see that there's been a forwarder with close to minus 70% growth. On the right-hand side, it's more than 120%. So there's a wide range. So the year over year or year over 2 year comparison and growth of plus 1%, you don't actually see a lot of forwarders that experience this growth. On the left, I would say on the left side, there's a lot of forwarders on the spectrum, and on the right-hand side, it's the same. And the same is actually the case for the top 25 global forwarders that we've included in this picture as well, with a sort of yellow-orange coloring. There's 12 of them, 12 of the top 25 had less than 1% growth, and 13 more than 1% growth in the year over 2 year comparison. Now, the last few weeks, there's been, of course, a lot of talk about the increase in yield. And of course, we also see this in our own figures. In this chart, we show the worldwide average yield, again, taken from our weekly data. And if you look at the last 5 weeks, so comparing week 31 to week 35 being the last week of August and the beginning of September, we clearly see a yield increase, an average worldwide yield increase of plus 7%. And that is significant for a worldwide average. I move on to the next slide, which talks further about yield development. And in this picture, or in this chart, we have plotted and shown you the different product categories, where we show a year over 2 year comparison again, so more longer term comparison, for both chargeable weights and the yield and the rate in US dollars per kilo. So if we look at the average rate increase for the period January to July in 2021, compared to 2019, we see that the yield increase has been plus 79%. But as you can clearly see from this picture, per product category, the picture is very, very different. So in general cargo, the increase was above average with 87%, for example. But in perishables, it was much less, 43%. And in live animals, for example, it was also less, plus 26%. So depending on the product mix of your business, the impact on your overall business could be very different than the average increase of plus 79%. Now, it's the last slide I would like to share. It's a pretty busy slide. It shows the top 100 city pairs, but it tells a very important story. Each dot here in this scatter represents a city pair. On the horizontal axis, you see the chargeable weights development, again, a year over 2 year comparison. And on the vertical axis, you see a yield rate increase comparison. So that green dot that you see in the middle is the worldwide average, with plus 1% volume growth and plus 79% yield increase. Now, clearly, you can see that the top 100 city pairs, including the top 25, which are shown here in blue, are completely scattered around this average, which means they're very different volume or rate performances per city pair. So I'd like to end by saying that looking at high-level averages is helpful, but doesn't certainly tell the whole story. and they mean different things for different parties. And therefore, it's important to get into the detail to understand what's happening. And I hope I've given you a flavor of this in the few minutes that I had available. If you'd like to learn more about this, feel free to reach out. And with this, I'd like to hand back over to Nadia. Thanks very much for your attention.
Thanks, Ken. We're now heading over to Sharon Hammond at BIFA to talk all things Freight Service Awards. Over to you, Sharon. We're just having a few technical difficulties with Sharon, so we're going to head over to India now and join Pranav Malik, Operations Director at Field Fresh Foods. Over to you, Pranav.
Thank you, Nadia. Good morning to all. I'm really delighted to be part of this esteemed audience. Special thanks to the team IAG Cargo for inviting Field Fresh for this platform. My key submission for the session would be around sharing with the global audience more about the perishable export ex-India, highlight the role and the contribution of Field Fresh in the category, which is the fresh vegetable export. I would also like to share some of the sustainable and realistic supply chain initiatives that have been taken by Field Fresh in the category and what is the ask from the trade per se. I would be also mentioning some of the impact because of the pandemic last year, the challenges we faced and how IAG Cargo helped Field Fresh sail through the time. I would be sharing some data on the total perishable export. So when we say perishable, so it's more on the fruits and vegetable categories from India. So looking at a comparison of 3 years from India, the fruits and vegetable products, it's being broadly being categorized under the fresh onions. So what are the top fresh vegetables and fruits that are being exported from India? Top is the fresh onion, then there is the fresh vegetables, then there are walnuts, then of course there are mangoes and grapes India is being known for. Then there is a category called fresh fruits and the other categories. So if we look at the total F&B category growth, even despite of the pandemic year, India Cargo grew by almost 4.6% on the value terms. So there was a contribution from the forex and the air freight, but the volume growth was substantial. We exited 1920 with a volume of 200 million tons, and the last year we just wanted to have a better number as we exit. So there was an additional 400 million tons of fresh vegetable and the fresh foods getting exported. So 18% on the volume growth. If we look at a category fresh vegetable among the entire fresh and vegetables and fruits, the total export from India in the year 2021 was somewhere around $300 million. And UK contribution into that, so we are specifying on the UK as a trade lane because India has a great respect for this trade lane, because this is a market where there is a plethora of fresh vegetables which can be sourced and sold. So India contributed export by $32 million in UK alone. Now, some of the top 5 destination of fresh vegetable exports from India in the last year. The category top player was UAE, which has almost a 21% share, followed by Nepal, surprisingly, which has 19% share. Third was the Bangladesh. Fourth was the UK and the Qatar. So Qatar and UK almost had a tough fight neck to neck. almost between 9 and 8.7%. The volume growth, despite of the pandemic remaining the same, speaks a lot about the potential India as an origin has for the fresh vegetables and fruit export. The only thing that need to be captured is to make it much more sustainable. Air cargo as a air cargo as a I would say a support function has to play a much bigger role in the perishable export out of India. The ask is to create a sustainable and realistic supply chain for perishable exports from India. As per me, the time has now come to focus on the huge and complex issues of sustainability across the entire fresh produce supply chain and in-depth look at how various aspects of environmental and corporate social responsibility are shaping the future of global produce industry. Allow us to address the environmental, social, economic, and political challenges that India as a fresh and category is going through. So here I am, Pranav, from the company Field Fresh Foods. Field Fresh Foods, it's a joint venture between the Bharti Enterprises. It's one of the India's leading business group, which has an interest in telecom, agribusiness, insurance, and retail. The flagship company is the Airtel, which is the India's leading private telecom service provider. They joined hand with the Del Monte Pacific, and we created a processed food vertical and a fresh vertical. So as we speak now, on our part, contributing to the larger reason in this in the fresh category, we export 10,000 metric tons of fresh and frozen produce purely to UK and EU alone. And when we talk about on the main categories where Field Fresh has been trying to spend and create a vertical among the entire fresh is the baby corn. So baby corn and chilies has been the pioneer in India with the efforts of Field Fresh. And as we speak now, Field Fresh is still is the leading exporter of baby corn into the UK market. The ask for the trade or what we have created over the period of time is that we are working with 200 plus farmers group following global grab practices across 10 states, 3 packhouse location. We are trying to contribute to the fresh vegetables category by exporting and supporting the family of farmers in growing baby corn, snow peas, sugar snaps, basket of chilies and herbs, French beans, jalapenos and gherkins. Field Fresh has also tried to create a training and development network for the farmer family, or which has been associated with us for past 1 year now. We have been conducted various training programs for our contract farmers even during the pandemic time, giving the field staff from transforming and establishing modern growing practices. The intent of Field Fresh has always been that to develop and motivate farmers for cultivating diversified crops instead of sticking to the main crop, which being the rice and the wheat. Field Fresh has been doing their part by creating an awareness in farmer community for food and environment safety under the Global Gap certifications. We are also promoting residue-free farming and safe use of pesticides on pan-India basis. There has been a very keen observation. It's again by very personal that perishable. It's a very broader category, and generally used freely for pharma, meat, fruits, and vegetable cargo. However, looking at the basic nature of the product, fruits and vegetable qualifies the best under the perishable due to the lowest shelf life among all three. Fruits and vegetable cargo during its journey from packhouse to the end customers will yield good result if consistent cold chain is maintained without incidents of thermal shock at any of the handling point. This is why working with partners like IAG Cargo, we can ensure our product reach our customers fresh and safe even during the peak conditions. But perishable being a trade which has its own challenges, transportation has been the major bottleneck over the period of time. So a lot of things have been addressed thanks to the partners and an expert sitting in the domain of IAG Cargo. But as a process, logistics starts at the moment when the crop in question is separated from the plant. From then on, differentiation must be made. What to be used: sea freight, air freight, road freight, or even the railways, which has long been neglected. Each logistics partner, as per us, has a crucial role in the entire value chain to make the entire perishable export successful. Addressing the key touch point and adhering to the SOPs is the minimum ask by the trade, which we get from IAG Cargo. Our association with the IAG Cargo on pan-India basis have been growing a year-on-year basis. Yes, we can collaborate and do much better. My summation would be that even if the margin for error in the refrigerated supply chain becomes smaller and smaller, risk will never disappear completely. Ironically, even with the best forecasting techniques, the fear of residual risk is not diminishing but increasing, simply because of the growing complexities of the logistics. But we had the partnership with the major direct carriers, and during the pandemic time, perishable as a trade was going through one of its toughest phase. During the initial lockdown in India, got much needed tailwind through active participation of the aviation industry by uplifting the cargo across location during these testing time. So in my view, the support we receive from partners like IAG Cargo has been invaluable over the past few years, especially during the pandemic. When capacity was a challenge, we were still able to utilize the regular scheduled cargo only flights. But I would like to end with is saying that our door at Field Fresh is always open, and we are always looking at ways to improve so that we deliver to our customer, end customer, a better product under a much more sustainable supply chain. Thanks a lot, IAG Cargo, making such a platform where the pain areas of the perishable trade can be shared with the larger audience. Thank you, and back to you, Nadia.
Thank you, Pranav. That was fascinating. We're going back over to Sharon now. So over to you, Sharon.
Thank you, Nadia. And good morning, everybody. I apologise for that. Apparently you couldn't hear me just now. My name is Sharon Hammond, and I'm the Media and Events Coordinator at Beefa, the British International Freight Association. I'm delighted to have been invited to today's session to give you an overview of the Beefa Freight Service Awards. Hopefully many of you are already aware of the Beefa Awards, and indeed may have entered in the past. The awards are now in their 33rd year and are open to all trading members of Beefa. There are 11 categories recognising both businesses and individuals within the forwarding and logistics sectors in the UK. The awards have been supported by high-profile sponsors, including IAG and British Airways, since their inception. The competition culminates with the awards ceremony in January with a celebrity host. Past hosts have included Adia Depatan, Dame Kelly Holmes, Sharon Davis, and Levi Roots. I'm currently planning for the 2021 ceremony that will take place in January 2022. Celebrity host to be announced soon. Entry is open to Beefa member companies. Having identified the basis of your entry, choose your category, then gather a team around you to write your submission. Categories are air cargo, European logistics for road and short sea services, ocean, project forwarding, specialist services, supply chain management, extra mile, cool and special cargoes, and staff development. The initial submission is simply 1,000 words, with the opportunity for finalists to submit supporting information for final judging. All categories are free to enter, and a business may enter up to 3 categories, plus entries to the Young Freight Forwarder and Apprentice of the Year awards. These are the 2 categories for individuals employed by Beefa members. For the Young Freight Forwarder Award, entries are invited from individuals under the age of 32 with 2 years experience in the industry. Entry is by self-nomination, followed by an interview with the judges if you reach the finalist shortlist. There are cash prizes for finalists and the winner will be nominated as the UK entrant to the International Award. The second award for individuals is the Apprentice of the Year. There is no age limit for this award, but entrants must be studying a relevant apprenticeship. Entry to the Apprentice of the Year is by manager nomination, and those shortlisted as finalists will attend an interview with the judges to discuss their experience. Cash prizes will be awarded to the finalists and winner. There are also many opportunities for apprentices to get involved with the Beefa Young Forwarder Network. Again, these categories are free to enter, and multiple entrants from one company are accepted. The timeline for the Beefa 2021 awards. The competition is now open for entry, with submissions due to Beefa by Thursday the 7th of October. Finalists will be announced in late October before the judges to meet to select the winner of each category in November. It all culminates with the awards luncheon ceremony on the 20th of January 2022, where we will celebrate the finalists and announce the winners. Turning to the benefits of entering, the process of writing your submission is a great opportunity for self-analysis, taking time to step back and look at the way you are working. Gathering a team around you will increase awareness and understanding, leading to team bonding and shared ownership. Discussing the subject of your entry with colleagues and customers invites feedback and ideas for improvement that can be incorporated into future activity. And writing the report, keeping to the word count while getting the message across, develops valuable skills for individuals. Publicity is a big benefit, with a number of press releases issued by Beefa relating to the awards. These may be published in various trade titles and websites. Press releases will include announcement of finalists in the autumn, with coverage of the awards ceremony and winners in January and throughout 2022. Beefa will use its own social media channels to publicise the awards, and of course entrants can keep their followers updated. There will be regular articles in Beefa Link promoting the awards and listing sponsors and finalists throughout the year. Following the awards ceremony, category winners are offered the opportunity to feature in a specially written profile showcasing their business and the reasons behind their success. This profile will be published in Beefa Link and a relevant trade publication. Opportunities for self-promotion also exist. Beefa will provide finalist and winner logos that can be added to correspondence, email signatures, websites, and social media channels. All finalists will be presented with a certificate of their achievement by the celebrity host at the luncheon ceremony, and the winner will receive an engraved glass trophy, both of which will look great on display in the business. The Beefa Awards Ceremony Luncheon in January is a highlight of the calendar and a great event at which to network with peers, reward your team, and entertain guests. A number of journalists from the trade press are usually present to report on the event. Finalists get their moment in the spotlight as they receive their certificates from the celebrity host. Then, after a 3-course meal and the host's speech, the winners are announced by each category sponsor and invited to the stage to collect their trophy. The photo here shows Noatum Logistics receiving the Air Cargo Services Award Winners Trophy from Gemma Cross, IAG Cargo, and Adi Adepatan, MBE, Paralympian and TV presenter, in January 2020. I hope that I have inspired you to enter the Beefa Awards this year. All the information you need can be found at beefa.org/awards. Or contact me at s.hammond@beefa.org if you have any questions. But remember, the deadline is fast approaching. Submissions are due in 3.5 weeks. Thank you for your time, and now I hand you back to Nadia.
Thank you, Sharon. We are running over a little bit, but we're going to just take a couple of questions. So the first question has come for John. And the question is, how has level evolved for cargo? And are there any freighter plans for Barcelona?
Thanks, Nadia. Great question. Well, level is one of our core carriers. So any level capacity is IAG Cargo capacity, and we're delighted about that. They're currently operating out of Barcelona, so the two questions are nicely linked there. At the moment, we're operating once a week to Buenos Aires. We have 2 services a week direct from Barcelona to New York, and 2 services a week direct from Barcelona to San Francisco. And we've been filling that capacity very well. As the level schedules develop, obviously we will further grow the cargo capacity. In terms of freighter connections direct to Barcelona, we have the opportunity with our charter fleet and the fleet across the entire IAG group to operate additional services should demand dictate. So please do contact your local sales team if you're sitting there wondering how you can get more capacity from Barcelona directly to anywhere in the world. Back to you, Nadia.
John. Thank you. Another question has come through. This one's for Sharon. So someone's asking, we're an SME. Can a company of any size enter the awards?
Yes, of course. We welcome, as long as you're a Beefa member and you're operating international freight services of some description, then yes, please enter the awards.
Thank you, Sharon. We've now come to the end of this episode of Cargo Live. Thank you to the speakers for taking time out of the diary. Thank you for joining us. And please follow IAG Cargo on LinkedIn to stay up to date with the latest news and events. Thank you.